I'm Ian McInnes. I'm the Associate Dean for Humanities and Applied Social Sciences, and I'll be kind of leading us through things tonight, but I will take a back seat for large chunks of it and let both students and academics speak to you and give you more of a focus on what we do and how we do it. Oh, I lost my place already. So yes, thank you for coming along. What we intend to do is offer you an introduction, a brief introduction to a broad range of the master's courses that we offer within the wider humanities area, and that you can study with us. Tonight, in terms of a schedule, we'll take you on a bit of a whistle-stop tour of a few things over the next kind of hour and a half. So that'll include introducing you to how you will learn at UHI by hearing from one of our graduate students on her experience. We'll provide you with introductions to the various degrees that we offer within our various disciplines. We'll speak briefly to questions of funding and how to apply, and we'll give you plenty of time at the end to ask questions of all of us if you wish. But on that last point, you'll also have the chance throughout the evening to ask any questions that you might have as we go along. If you look within Teams along the taskbar, which should be at the top for most of you, you'll have the option, the speech bubble for the chat. And I think the Q&A function is also open, so you have both opportunities to post in one of them to ask questions as we go along. So please do make use of that, although, as I said, there is also that dedicated bit at the end for queries. So just to go around the room briefly, I'll get our various academics to introduce themselves, the subject area and the degrees they'll be speaking to this evening. So yeah, sorry, apologies, I forgot to tell you guys I'll be doing that. So Stephen, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. My name's Stephen Timoney. I'm the programme leader for the MSc Heritage Interpretation. So that's the programme I'll be talking about this evening. I'm also the programme leader for our MSc Tourism programme as well.
Thanks, Stephen. And Andrew?
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Jennings, and I'm based here in Shetland. So I think I'm the most northerly person here today. I'm the programme leader for the Institute for Northern Studies Masters of Island Studies, Viking Studies, and Highlands and Islands Literature, but I'm also here to talk about the Masters in Early Modern European History and what's the other one? Oh yes, Scottish Heritage as well.
Too many hats to wear on. And Claire?
Hi everyone, my name is Claire Taylor. I am the programme leader for the Masters in Applied Social Sciences, Globalisation and Crime, and I'll be speaking a little bit about that this evening.
Thank you. And Scott?
Hi everybody, I'm Scott Timpany. I'm based at the Archaeology Institute up in Orkney, and I'm the programme leader for the MSc in Archaeological Practice and Environmental Archaeology, and I'll also be talking briefly about the MLit in Archaeological Studies.
Great stuff, thanks Scott. So I think that's all of us. Oh, sorry, Lucy, I forgot about you.
Hi, I'm Lucy Dean. I'm a senior lecturer and interim head of the Centre for History, and I'm speaking today about the different MLit programmes that you can do in history.
So yeah, so as you'll see, we have a lot to get through and a lot represented by the staff that are here tonight. There are also a couple of programmes that aren't represented, but I'll speak to them in brief when we turn to the section on the degrees themselves and providing that little bit of intro. So we will cover everything that we offer from within the humanities and social science area. First up though, I think it's probably useful not just to hear from us, because we can tell you anything we want, but it's also useful to hear from our students. So I'm happy to introduce Dr. Lucy Dean, who just introduced herself there. And Lucy is going to lead a conversation with Ashley Callahan, who's a graduate of our MLit in History, and Ian Healy, who is a current student on our MSc in Archaeological Practice. They'll discuss their experience with us, studying with us at UHI. All I would note in advance is that our various programmes, because they represent multiple different subject areas, don't all work the same way. In fact, I think Ashley and Ian's experiences will be quite different because of the very different natures of the programs that they are studying, have studied. So you'll hear more details about that in the section to follow, when program leads will take you through their individual degrees. But this section will hopefully give you an idea of that student experience. So over to you, Lucy.
Thanks very much, Ian, and thanks also again to Ashley and Ian for joining us this evening. I'm just going to be asking the questions. They're going to be doing most of the talking, you'll be glad to hear. So I'll hand over to both of them now to ask for them to introduce themselves by telling us which MLIT course they took with us, and also answering the question, why did you choose to study at UHI? And Ashley first and Ian second, and I'll go the other way around next time.
Wonderful. Thanks, Lucy. So my name is Ashley Callahan Campbell, and I'm a recent graduate of the MLIT in History program at UHI. The main reason that I chose the UHI initially, I guess I should specify that I'm sitting in Canada right now. And so one of the reasons that I chose the UHI master's program is because it gave me the flexibility of pursuing Scottish history at the postgraduate level, obviously without being able to relocate. So the main implication for me was not only the availability of the program offerings available at the UHI, but also the areas of specialization that were available. I'll try to keep it short because I know that there's a lot to get through this evening.
Thanks very much, Ashley, and over to you, Ian.
So yeah, I'm currently studying the MSc in Archaeological Practice at UHI. The reasons I chose UHI, just for the experience of living in Orkney. The course itself is very practical based. It's you really do get to get your hands on stuff like geophysics. The archaeology is just coming out the ground, professional practice, all the report writing. It's just a really professional orientated course, I think, for me. So that was why I picked UHI.
Ashley.
I'm so sorry. I remembered something else that I wanted to say. I'll, again, try without being too long. But one of the reasons that the distance offerings were so impactful also is because UHI are specialists in distance education. Obviously, because there are so many campuses spread across the totality of the Highlands and Islands, it means that it's not just an in-person program with distance options added in. It is instead highly tailored and focused on distance education. And that way it makes it a lot more accessible for anyone who's coming back as mature students, people who want to continue to work during their education, anyone that is coming in with a bit of a varied background or as international students. And so the program choices, the flexibility of the offerings, as well as the specialization in distance education, I think really stands out for the UHI. Sorry, that was my whole thought.
Thanks very much, Ashley. So if we go to Ian now, I was just going to ask, as a student, how would you describe your learning experience with UHI? Obviously, you explained that you're doing a very practical hands-on course, Ian, so quite an exciting one for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally different to Ashley's experience of it. My MSc is you've got to be here to do it. You've got to be in person to do it. But the experience of being up here and being taught by, we have professionals from outside academia coming in and teaching you. So you do get a very much, probably a different experience to what Ashley's having with the sort of the inputs that are coming in from outside. Like say, I've literally dashed in the door just now from a day of geophysics out in the field. So it was a mad rush to get the computer set up. So it's that sort of, it's really quite exciting. It's really quite dynamic, doing lots of stuff.
It's
just
always
be prepared to
exciting as well
embrace
to have,
everything. Yeah.
I was going to say, always exciting as well to have that mixture of academia and practical experience when you're doing something like archaeology, where you want those professional input from lots of different areas, and it's great that that can be brought into the program in so many different layers.
Yeah, and like I say, the stuff that you're doing as well isn't just go out and survey the field. You're actually contributing towards sort of the understanding of the archaeological environment that surrounds the place. You're actually doing geophysics in fields that haven't been done before. You're test pitting in areas you haven't done before. You're taking pollen samples and peat bogs up to your knees in water. One day that Scott kindly took us out on, which was a miserable day, but great fun all the same. So yeah, you really do contribute to the understanding of the area.
That's great. So over to you, Ashley, then. And how would you describe your learning experience? Obviously, quite a different one from a distance, but how would you explain your learning experience?
So the learning experience through UHI is profoundly positive, even coming from a distance environment. I was always made to feel included in every aspect of the university environment. You are able to encounter anything from seminars to group study programs to faculty arranging, coffee chat amongst the students. So there is this just incredibly cohesive and interactive environment, I think, whether you choose to study in person or via distance. And something similar to what Ian had mentioned is, even though, I'm not in physical proximity, there is this constant integration of specialists in the field that I think was really wonderful. A number of my modules were team taught, which for the students present mean that you have a number of instructors providing on each module, but that also meant that within their section on the module, they were using their own research. So you're seeing not only the cutting edge research, but you're seeing specialists in their field in each section of a course that you're interested in. So I think it gives a lot of really interesting variability, because even if you're taking a course on early modern paleography, for example, you're going to be able to get something from Scots, you're going to be able to get something from Polish literature, you're going to be able to get this wide array of information being taught by people who specialize in that subject. And so I think all of this is really indicative of the broader experience at UHI, the way that the faculty go out of their way to make sure that you're getting the best education that you can, whether you're pursuing from distance or in person.
Thanks ever so much, Ashley. So our next question links to that in terms of the last point you made and the staff going out of their way. But I just wondered how you've both found the support available at UHI from the staff and also from our student support services and things like that, if you've interacted with them. I'll ask Ashley that first and then come to Ian after.
So again, building off kind of that last point, the support services and the support in general at the UHI is exceptional. Obviously, coming from a very distant perspective, I rely a lot on emails. I rely a lot on communication, and I have never once had something go unanswered. I have never felt to be on the outside of the action on campus. Ranging anywhere from the support staff all the way to obviously the academic staff. Everyone has always gone out of their way to make sure that everything was clear, easily available, and that even if it was a question that they didn't know the answer to, they would be for sure matching me up with someone who could answer that. There's obviously a ton of resources available to students at the UHI, anything from social opportunities, academic. The library services obviously require an important distinction. I was able to do an entire research MLit dissertation through the online library resources. So I can only imagine when combined with the in-person library resources, it would be relatively exceptional. So yeah, I would say that the support structures of the UHI are one of the things that make it most impressive. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Ashley, and over to you, Ian.
Yeah, so UHI Orkney is quite a small environment. So you're hand in glove with the lecturers and the commercial unit Orca, the archaeology unit that's there. Everybody's sitting having a cup of tea in the same place and chatting and talking about things. All the lecturers very approachable, very, very knowledgeable on the subject. The library's quite a small library, the in-person one, but you do have the Orkney Library and Archive, which is down in the town, and yeah, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, my experience of asking questions, you get plenty of hints on what literature to read, what books to pick up and go find. And if the lecturers don't have it to give you themselves, they can tell you where you can find it.
Brilliant. And yeah, I mean, I think that both having that in-person library experience, but also remember, like, our librarians by email are also really really supportive, and we've got live chat in the library now as well, so that the library, you can online chat to the librarians as well, which I think our undergraduates have found incredibly useful too. So the last thing I'd just like to ask was if there was anything else you'd like to reflect on, or would want to say to someone who's considering studying with UHI that I haven't asked you a question about already. And maybe Ian first.
Yeah, I mean, I had offers from various universities to study for my master's, but part of what made me come up here was just the experience of being up here and getting to work, to live, to contribute to this environment for a year is just a fantastic opportunity, rather than staying down in Cardiff and Exeter and living a normal life. Try something different just for a year. Pop up and give it a go.
Trying something different sounds like a really good tagline. Ashley.
Yeah, I would say something very similar to Ian, in that if you have any, if you're wavering at all about whether or not to choose the UHI, I would obviously say that you should just do it. Take that chance, try something new. The wide range of program offerings alone is worth looking at the UHI. The incredibly competitive costs compared to a lot of other institutions, particularly for international students, is a huge positive. The opportunity to interface and engage with academic staff, leaders in their field on a day-to-day basis that you don't get at a lot of larger institutions. Honestly, I can't say enough positive about UHI. As Lucy's well aware, I'm trying to desperately beg them to let me do a PhD right now anyways. So I'm clearly very biased, but I also like to think that comes with a little bit of experience in this topic. And so I strongly encourage anyone who is at all interested to dip a toe. I know that the staff here probably will talk about the fact that different programs have different level opportunities as well throughout the programs, where you can take a course or two here or there. And so my sage wisdom would just be to do it. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Ashley and Ian. It's been wonderful to hear from you. I shall pass back to Ian.
Thank you, Lucy. And yes, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Ian. Just before we let our students go, and I won't keep them for the night because that would be slightly unfair. I'll just make the staff do that. Does anyone out there have any questions that they would like to ask Ashley and Ian? You can stick them in the chat if you want, or indeed you might even be able to raise your hand and we could switch your microphone on if you want. So any questions out there for our students? If not, I shall let you both go. Thank you so much, Ian and Ashley, for coming along. Much appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you again. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Ian.
Okay, so that's the student voice, the student experience, and hopefully that was of use. Now, when we'll drill a bit deeper into what we offer in terms of our various degree options, and of which there are several, and the wide range of things that you can study with us in the humanities. So we'll do this by kind of discipline or by subject area, in particular in relation to what was introduced by staff earlier on. So we'll turn to each member of staff in turn, who will give you a brief intro into what they offer. So we'll start with you, Stephen, if that's all right.
That's great. I just get the presentation loaded. Okay, so as I said, my name's Stephen Timoney. I'm based at UHI Perth, and amongst other things, I'm the programme leader for the MSc Heritage Interpretation, which then leads me to clarify what heritage interpretation is, which is usually the second thing when you talk about heritage interpretation. At least with the heritage in front of it, it clarifies some things. It's not language interpretation, but it's something that most, if not all of us, will have encountered in terms of visits to locations, whether it's museums, nature reserves, zoos, all these sorts of informal learning environments are locations where you can encounter heritage interpretation. So it's a process of communicating meaning, significance about artifacts, about places, telling, in some ways, telling stories about things to engage people in different ways. So you may be wanting to inform them, you may want to engage them in certain activities as well. So heritage interpretation is the process, the mediums, so whether it's static or live interpretation, so whether it's tour guides, cautions interpreters, or various interpretive media as well. So that all comes under the banner of heritage interpretation. And ultimately, it has a critical role in terms of the objectives, the mission of many organisations from national to local level. So in terms of communicating value, in terms of engaging communities, very much so in the 21st century, and providing context which feeds into encouraging sort of valuing of cultural and natural heritage in terms of communicating conservation messages, creating opportunities for engagement within and between sort of cultures and so on as well. So heritage interpretation sits within that sort of broader sort of sphere in terms of those connections, but also in terms of creating engaging, enjoyable, entertaining sometimes experiences as well, visitor experiences. So as I mentioned, it can be effective interpretation. That's important to clarify that it has to be effective. So it needs to be designed well, it needs to be tested and delivered in an effective way for audiences as well. So it can provide that range of benefits. So it can be for visitors, but also for local communities as well, in terms of creating engaging experiences. So things that people will find memorable, will find enjoyable, will create a sort of value for the location and for visitors as well, whether they be local communities or from further afield. And as I said, in terms of they can tap into bigger picture issues as well, in terms of sustainability, in terms of communicating climate change narratives as well. So engaging people from the very local and specific to much bigger sort of issues and contexts. So we can use heritage interpretation as a way of engaging people with sort of challenging issues. So in terms of heritage interpretation, it's not just about the sort of positive, celebrated aspects of heritage, whether it's local or national heritage, as it's conceived. It's also about creating engaging, sensitive ways of communicating about challenging topics, for example, in terms of Holocaust sites, in terms of sites associated with slavery and things like that as well. Heritage interpretation is a key tool in terms of being able to communicate these narratives in sensitive ways that are respectful, but also thought-provoking and potentially challenging, so that we can use them to inform people in effective ways. So again, this all comes under the sort of the processes of heritage interpretation planning and project delivery as well. So within the programme, we cover all of this. The programme has existed for almost 20 years and was originally devised with a number of national agencies in Scotland, alongside practitioners, so consultants within heritage interpretation. So getting both sides of the sort of broader heritage sector. All these organisations have a public-facing role in terms of engaging people with the aspects of heritage that they are involved in within Scotland, and likewise organisations around the globe have the same sort of remit as well. So in terms of communicating effectively with audiences is a key part of heritage interpretation, and it delivers on those requirements from national organisations. In terms of the programme team, we've got a broad team from both academic and practitioner backgrounds, and in terms of the modules that we offer, Andrew's here, Andrew's Selling Cold Islands module, and other staff who my colleagues will recognise as well, but a range of knowledge and experience in terms of the modules that we have in the programme and in terms of skills and experience. and I've duplicated that one, I think. In terms of the levels of award, this is sort of standard, but in terms of we have three levels of award, so the postgraduate certificate, postgraduate diploma, and the MSc. So we have three core modules for the PG Cert. We have additional three option modules for the PG Dip, albeit the research one becomes a core if you go on to do the MSc as well. So you can exit with any one of these awards. The programme is, unlike the archaeology programme that was discussed earlier by Ian, the archaeology student, our programme's entirely online, so you don't need to travel to Perth to study. And we have students from North America and across Europe and across the UK that have studied on the programme as well. So it provides that flexibility in terms of being able to study and fit in with other commitments, whether it's work commitments, family commitments, and also in terms of time zone differences as well. In terms of the modules, we have the CERT has the three core modules, so planning visitor experiences, managing and delivering projects, and interpretation, media and design. So this covers the three kind of key areas of interpretation in terms of planning. So how we design, how we identify what the organisation wants, what the audience or visitors are potentially interested in, what sort of stories we want to tell about the resources that we have. So that all comes under sort of planning visitor experiences. Managing and delivering projects is then about delivering the idea, the plan, and working with contractors, working with other experts, whether it's about producing different types of media and so on. So working with others and timescales. So actually how you go about delivering that. And then interpretation, media and design is about looking in more detail about the range of options that we have available, and choosing appropriate ones for the audience and the resource and the budget that we have as well. So these things overlap and interlink in terms of providing students with a key range of skills and experience that they can take into the workplace as well. So all the assessments are sort of designed with a practical application at the end, but they have a theoretical underpinning as well. In terms of the PG Dip, then we have a range of option modules that students can choose, and across the sort of heritage and tourism sort of sector. And again, a lot of the assessments again have applied aspects to them in terms of you be doing reports or evaluations and things like that would be dry runs for actually undertaking these activities in employment as well. So trying to make sure that students are skilled to then go into the workplace to work in these roles, and for students that already work in the sector to develop or enhance the skills they may already have as well. So there's a range of modules that are available for option. And here's some more as well, and you can see that across the sort of range of sort of those tourism and heritage modules which overlap and link into modules from the tourism programme as well. So the natural kind of alignment with a lot of heritage interpretation, visitor experiences, and the tourism concepts as well. To do the MSc, so as well as I mentioned before, if you want to go on to do MSc, then our research methods and techniques module becomes a core, so it becomes a module you have to take for the PG Dip. But this just means that you definitely got the skills and experience to be able to go on and undertake the dissertation as well, which is a triple credit module, again standard for a lot of UHI programs, and it's an opportunity. I'll not tell you too much about dissertation. An opportunity to undertake your own, independent study on a topic within the broad area of heritage interpretation as well. So we've had a great range of dissertations that students have undertaken over the nearly 2 decades as well. So a lot of variety to sort of drill into something that you've either got a burning interest in from the start, or something that piques your interest as you study on the modules on the programme. So that's a brief overview of the MSc Heritage Interpretation. If you've got any questions, then please do get in touch with me. You can contact me by email. I'm sure our contact details will be sent out to the group and put in the recording as well. I also can provide information on the other programmes that I oversee as well, but I'm not presenting on tonight. So that's me for the moment, Ian.
Thanks, Dave. That's great. Yes, I have a list of all contacts for all programme leads. I'll put them in the chat in the next session, just so you all have access to those if you want to follow up with the right person for the programme you wish to study. Okay, next up then is Andrew.
Okay, right. Hello, everyone. And as you can see, UHI has fantastic staff-student ratios. So I'm not sure what you're hoping to study, the students who are there, but I'm going to try and persuade you that perhaps a Master's with the Institute for Northern Studies is the one for you. So the Institute for Northern Studies is stretched across the most northerly to the most southerly part of UHI. I'm based in UHI Shetland, but our centre's in UHI Orkney. But there seems to be a centre of gravity pulling us towards UHI Perth as well. So there we go. There we are. So what do we offer? Well, we offer quite a range of different masters. For example, the Island Studies, Highlands and Islands Literature, Early Modern European Studies, which is our sort of brand new one, it's only going for a year or so, Scottish Heritage, and Viking Studies. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of these. And they all sort of, they come under our umbrella as for Northern Studies. So first of all, what's the Emlet Island Studies about? Well, this is the only dedicated postgraduate degree in Island Studies in Scotland, as far as I'm aware, and in fact in the whole of the UK, although I believe that Guernsey or Jersey, I think, is interested in doing something similar. And in this we look at a comparative and multidisciplinary study of islands across the world, with a sort of focus particularly on the Scottish and the Northern and Scandinavian islands. And we look at a range of different things, which you can see from the modules. We look at the nature of islandness, what makes islands special and unique. We look at the Scottish islands from Muckleflugga to Plada. We look at the Norse heritage and the Gaelic heritage of the Scottish islands and what's it like to live in the Scottish islands today. We do a module on island governance, where we explore different means by which islands are governed and whether that we should seek autonomy if we live in an archipelago like Shetland. And then we also have a tourism-based module, which Stephen has already mentioned, Selling Cold Islands, which looks at how do the cooler islands in the north, how do they attract people to come and visit them? What is it about them that makes them of interest? You can do this synchronously, i.e. turn up to seminars, most of which I teach for this particular program, but you can do it asynchronously as well if you're in an obscure part of the world like the States, so you can watch a recording of the event. Yeah, it's an innovative and very, I like to think, exciting Masters, and it involves visiting speakers from islands across the world, from New Zealand to Prince Edward Island and the Faroe Islands and many others in between. So if islands are the things that you want to know more about, whether you live on an island or would like to, then Island Studies is something to think about. We also, from the very sort of beginning of the Institute for Northern Studies, have had an interest in Scottish and Highland literature. And the Emlet in Highlands and Islands Literature explores what makes literature written in the Highlands and Islands distinctive and unique. It's a way of engaging with the culture and the identity of the Highlands and Islands. There's also lectures and seminars by local writers as well, some who've gone on to great renown. And there's a creative writing module as well if you wish to explore your own ability in writing. It has a very strong theoretical basis, however, as well. So there's a module that looks at literary iconographies and also travel literature that explored the Highlands and Islands from the 18th century onwards. And another module is Modern Scottish Gothic, which looks at a particular strand of Highlands and Islands literature, which is interested in the dark arts and fairies and the supernatural. So if you have a particular interest in literature and want to explore the literature of the Highlands and Islands, this is one of the few places that you can do that, and you will do it with experts in the field. As I say, one of our newest masters is the Emlet in Early Modern European Studies, which we sort of just call EMES because that's easier. And that is a program that draws upon the research expertise of our staff and includes a range of different disciplines, bringing it together experts in Northern Studies, history, archaeology, theology, and literature to try and build up a picture of Europe and Scotland's place within Europe in the early modern period. And there's some really fascinating modules, some good names: Faith, Fury, and Fraternity, The Making of Modern Europe, 1500 to 1800. And also, I like The Wars of the Covenant, Scotland and the British Civil Wars, 1638 to 1655. So if you like religious wars, if you like the beginning of modern politics, if you like to understand how modern Scotland has come to be within the context of modern Europe, then this is a program that will help you uncover the truth, or a truth, should we say. We also have an entirely online module, Scottish Heritage. This one is, how would you say, I think it was originally visualized as a program that might attract Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders who were trying to uncover their family history and their links to the old country, as it were. But we've also found now that most of our students are Scottish, and they're coming and doing this program because they feel there's a kind of lacuna, a missing gap in their knowledge of their own culture, heritage, and country. And this program, it looks at history, it looks at language, it looks at literature, it looks at folklore, and it also looks at music and song. So if you feel that you have this sort of great desire to understand things that school never taught you, which seems to be a problem that many have faced, then this program will help you understand what it is to be Scottish, and what makes our history and culture unique. But as I say, it's online, so there aren't any VC seminars for this one. You can do it at your leisure, in your own time, and you know, it's guaranteed, it's set up for that. I should follow on from Stephen and say that each of our programs also is divided in the same way. You can do a PG cert with 3 modules, a PG diploma with 6 modules, and then if you want to do the whole masters, you do a dissertation. And the dissertation choice is very wide because we have a wide range of different scholars with different types of expertise, and we can guide you to explore and research a topic that really appeals to you. Scottish Heritage is one of our big sellers, but our biggest seller is the MLit in Viking Studies, which is a program which has grown and grown, and it's particularly focused on exploring the Vikings in Scotland and the North Atlantic, and also this is, I don't know where this has come from, core modules, forget about those, right? It has various modules that explore aspects of Viking culture that are being researched at the moment, which are sort of hot topics in Viking studies, such as gender in the Viking world. That seems to attract quite a lot of people. What were the Vikings like? What were the men up to? And then what were the women doing? Were they harridans joining in fights, or were they looking after the home? So great interest in that. But we also have a module which looks at the Scandinavians at home before the Viking Age took place. And we have, doing that, we have Stefan Brink, Professor Stefan Brink, who, for those who know Viking Studies, is a famous Viking Studies scholar and has written some of the seminal works in Viking studies. But it has a range of different things. One of the modules looks at visualizing the Vikings. How are the Vikings viewed today? Where have the stereotypes of the Vikings come from? Why do we get the Vikings on the telly all the time? And is it an accurate representation of what they were actually like? So we look at the Vikings today as well as the Vikings in the past. And we also have a literature module as well, which introduces you to the sagas and how to read the sagas and how to understand them. Yeah, so if you like the Vikings, which many people seem to, I liked the Vikings before I started studying them, then Viking Studies will interest you. So there we go. Just to reiterate, You can start in January or you can start in September for our degrees. If you're doing it full time, we'd expect you to do, say, 20 hours per week of study. Part time, then it usually takes 2 years, and we let you off with studying about 10 hours per week. We do blended learning, so for most of the programs, that is that there's a video conference seminar, but there's also material online where all our reading material is available. But you can also watch the recordings after the event if you have the misfortune of missing one of the seminars, or if you're doing Scottish Heritage, where it's all online. We like to think that we provide good support for students, and we've had some very good graduates who've gone on to then do PhDs with us as well. So if you start the Masters with us, that might not be the end. You might be, after you finish your Masters, you might then go on to do another 3.5 years with a PhD, and then, who knows, find yourself a job in academia, teaching others about islands or the Vikings. And yeah, so we look forward to hearing from you. So you can find us in various guises in different places. Of course, we have our website, which is attached, part of the UHI website, which can tell you about all the different programs that we run, but also the other free seminars that we run as well. We want to enrich your experience. And we also have a YouTube channel which has the recordings of our 3 seminar series if you want to catch up with what we've done in the past. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from you. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Sorry for having to go off camera there. I had a cat appear at my window that I had to let in. So yes, thank you, Andrew. Good for that. And then over then to Scott.
Okay, hopefully that should be shown for everybody. Yeah, okay, good stuff. Hi, so I'm Scott Timpany. I'm the program leader for the MSc courses. So I'm just going to briefly overview the 2 MSc courses that we have in archaeology, and also the MLit course as well. So the MSc Archaeological Practice, which Ian was talking about earlier, that he's a current student on, this is offered either part-time over 2 years or full-time over a whole year, usually starting in September and finishing the following September. So it is a whole calendar year for these courses because they have 3 semesters. The archaeological practice degree is really focused on enhancing practical skills and developing practical skills in archaeology. So as Ian was saying, he's been out in the field today doing geophysics. And we run these practical skills through a range of modules that you can study on these courses. So we have some core ones like professional practice, where we get in colleagues from field units and people working in different aspects of archaeology across the UK to come in and tell you all about their experience within archaeology and a little bit about the different disciplines that are out there. And that should give you an overview of the different careers that are present there as well. So hopefully you'll come in maybe not knowing too much about archaeological careers, but leaving with a good knowledge of all the different ones that are out there. It's not just field archaeology and academia. There's a whole host of things as well. This is a residential degree, so it's only for study in Orkney, and that's because there's so many practical elements around this degree as well. At the end of the degree, there is the option to do either a dissertation or a placement. So the placement is an 8-week placement, and you'll be within a professional body. So this could be hosted by another university. It could be with a field unit somewhere. It doesn't have to be based in Orkney. So we've had students on placements across Europe and in America as well. And the idea there is to get you some real world experience of working within different heritage sectors, and obviously getting some contacts within that as well. And this module has been really successful in terms of leading to employment for students. So we've had a couple of students even last year that got employed straight off the back of their placement with their placement host. So it's a nice lead in into careers within the industry. We've also got a new environmental archaeology master's course starting. Again, this is residential. This is based in Orkney. And this degree has been developed because we've got so many environmental archaeologists now in Orkney wanting to, teach the next lot of environmental archaeologists coming through all of their skills. And this is really important because there is a big skills gap now in the archaeological sector in terms of people doing subjects like archaeobotany and zoo archaeology and entomology and things like that. So hopefully this will be a way in for people to increase their environmental archaeological skill bases. Again, there are theoretical and practical parts of this course. So, don't worry if you think, I know a little bit about environmental archaeology, but I don't know a lot about environmental archaeology. Could I do this course? No worries, we'll sort you out. So at the beginning, you'll do a theory module called Environmental Archaeology Anthropocene, easy to say, of course, and that will embed you with the kind of theory behind some of the methods that you'll be studying, and also thinking about how we can utilise these archaeological methods today. So things like sustainability, water quality, deforestation, rewilding, all of these things have an aspect of archaeology that we can bring to the table. There's also practical classes based in the brand new lab facility that we've got. So we've got a new AONS facility, which is part of the heritage science infrastructure across the UK. It's one of the 2 facilities in Scotland, and you'll be based in these labs. So you'll have nice, shiny new equipment to work with as well. Get to play with 3D scanners and digital analysis of artifacts and materials as well. And as part of these courses, then we've got practical zoo archaeology and practical archaeobotany, and also human remains as well. So hopefully a good breadth of different environmental skills that you might want to take on. Within this degree, you have an option, same as the archaeological practice degree, of either doing a dissertation or doing a placement. So again, these would be focused on environmental archaeology subjects, so either a dissertation within that or a placement within that as well. And then lastly, we've got the MLit for archaeological studies. So this is a little bit different to the MSCs in the fact that it's distance taught. You don't have to be based in Orkney to do this, but you can be based in Orkney to do this as well at the same time. So this has quite a few different modules within it. And again, don't worry if you've not got too much of an archaeological background coming into this, because we have the module for you. It's called Think Like an Archaeologist. I mean, in my day, that would be thinking about what you want to, but this is different. This is about archaeological theory and taking that on. And then we've got period-specific modules. So if you're interested in the Neolithic, the Norse period, the Iron Age, early medieval, etc., there's a range of modules that you can take for that. There's also practical elements if you wanted to. So you could come and do excavation with us for 2 weeks as part of that. And for this one, you would choose to do a dissertation. And the precursor for that, even on the other MSc courses, is a research and dissertation skills module, which will enable you then to develop your research questions, gain a relationship with a supervisor to take on the project of your choosing as well. And again, there's a range of option modules for the study for this degree. And then lastly, I just wanted to point out that we do have a blog, and archaeologyorkney.com. So if you're interested in things that are taking place or want to see the kind of projects that we're up to, the kind of research that's ongoing, then please do check out that blog. And if you're interested in any of these degrees, then please do feel free to email me. And I see that Ian's put my email in the chat. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Scott. Great stuff. Okay, and then over to Lucy.
Hopefully that's some slides shared now. I see that's okay. Yeah, we're good. Thanks very much, Ian. So I'm speaking on behalf of our programme leader for the PGT, which is Philippa Woodcock, whose email contact details are in the chat there as well. So the Centre for History offers a range of taught MLit programmes, as well as the option to undertake an MRes or a Masters by Research. And the MLit programs are all online. This includes both asynchronous learning and live video classes, all of which are recorded. Our taught programs reflect the expertise and specialism of the centre and its staff. covering a broad range of chronology from medieval to modern, as well as a varied geographical set of regions and methodological and theoretical approaches. We are unsurprisingly rooted in our location with specialisms in the Highlands and Islands and Scottish history, but the breadth of expertise ranges far and wide, and a central facet of the Centre for History's approach is as much about understanding any historical area of interest in its broad European and global contexts. So let me just get the next slide up. So we have 4 different programmes that we lead from the Centre for History: the MLit in History, the MLit History of the Highlands and Islands, and also 2 that we work on collaboratively with other parts of UHI, including the Archaeology Institute and the Institute of Northern Studies, which are the MLit History and Archaeology of the Highlands and Islands and the MLit Coastal and Maritime Societies and Cultures. And the Centre for History staff are also key collaborators in the Institute of Northern Studies Early Modern European Studies programme that Andrew was mentioning earlier, which has been a really exciting programme to be involved in. I really enjoyed being part of the core module on that programme for the first time this year. Like some of the other members of staff have noted, you can do a PG Cert, PG diploma or an MLit in all of the programmes that I've mentioned, but I'm going to speak more to the MLit in the brief overview because there is only a brief amount of time to cover this. So in terms of the MLit History and the MLit History of the Highlands and Islands, these both have core modules, which are our Research Skills in History module, which is an all-year module, and it runs over both semesters and is carries 40 credits. And this supports the dissertation that you would undertake. So if you're doing the full MLit or the PG diploma, you would take this Research Skills in History module. We also have optional core skills modules where you select one of the 2. You have the option to take both of them, but it depends whether you want to have more subject content or more skills content, so there's flexibility there in terms of that. And those 2 optional core skills, one is very much looking at sort of language and paleography and written texts, and the other is looking at oral history, so it's voices from the past and understanding and using oral history. And if you're wanting something that's quite heavily skills based for your MLit in history, you could choose both of those. And for both of these programs, we have a range of options modules. Some of these are available across both. Some of them are just available on one of them. And these include modules that are both individually research-led, such as Gender and the Family in the Highlands and Islands. But also we have quite a lot of these modules. Ashley mentioned them in her one of her answers about them being team taught and team designed. So they draw in specialisms from across different members of staff, such as Royal Power, Performance and Propaganda, and also one of our newest modules, which is Castles in Context, from medieval to modern, which has some really creative assessments to encourage the students, and our external examiner said the wonderful quote on there about this, about it being a wonderful course imparting conceptual models of history, historiographical approaches, and a broad comparative geographical and chronological scope. Across all these programs, the assessment profiles of the modules are designed to help with skills development, but also to have a high level of flexibility for you to pursue your own research interests in relation to the themes and topics on the modules. And the Research Skills in History module has been designed to complement your work towards a dissertation by allowing you the opportunity and space to be developing your research idea for the dissertation through some of the assessments on that module as well, so they work in tandem with one another. The other 2 programs that are shared with Archaeology and the Institute of Northern Studies, the MLit in the Highlands in history and archaeology of the Highlands and Islands is essentially half and half. So you take half your modules from one and half from the other, and you have the option to take your dissertation in either subject, and that will sort of determine which of the skills modules you take in terms of which dissertation you want to undertake at the end. And for the MLIT in Coastal and Maritime Societies and Cultures, for this you take 2 taught modules from each of the different institutes and centres, and then you would again have the option to select your dissertation from any one of those 3 areas. So we've got a lot of support for our students. The learning at master's level is predominantly through the virtual learning environment, using discussion boards and, like others have said, with lots of online materials. But we do have optional video conference sessions for many of the modules, and it's variable dependent on the modules, but there's a minimum of 3 across most of them. These are always recorded so that people can get involved even if they're unable to watch them at the time, and then comment on them on the discussion boards. We've got online inductions that we offer, and a longitudinal induction resource that's available in a support space on Brightspace, which is our virtual learning environment. We welcome our PGT students to come along to other activities that we have for our postgraduate researchers, including research seminars, reading groups. We had our REMRA conference, which shouldn't say forthcoming anymore, apologies, last year, which all of our MLIT students were invited along to. And I also wanted to include these comments from some of the students about the level of support, which emphasises hopefully some of the things that Ashley was saying when she was giving her answers to her questions. Our student cohorts range from students who have come straight from our undergraduate degree via people who are in work and making career changes in midlife, to people who've retired from work. Like all of my colleagues that have been promoting their courses, another joy of this online format is also that it brings together students from around the world into one learning environment, and this brings so many exciting experiences, I think, to the table when you're learning in that kind of environment. And then I just wanted to end this with this lovely quote from one of our earliest graduates, actually, from the MLIT programme, because I think it encapsulates various factors about studying at MLIT level with us, whether you're studying history or any other of the subjects that are being offered, but that it can particularly you can come to us at any age, and it can still have a transformative impact on your life and open up new opportunities. So the Centre for History team looks forward to hearing from you, and if you've got any questions, please get in touch. You can contact us with the email on the screen, or via Philippa's email, which is in the chat. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. See me still lingering on that slide as well. Right, and then over to you, Claire.
Thanks, Ian. Just get my slides up 2 seconds. There we go, that'll do us. So yeah, hi everybody. So as I said earlier, my name is Claire Taylor. I am the programme leader for the MSc Applied Social Sciences in Globalisation and Crime, and I'm based at UHI Perth. So really all I want to do just now is give you a wee bit of a sense of what this course is about, what makes it quite distinctive, and why hopefully it would be a good fit for you if you're interested in crime, justice, inequality and major global social change. So really this is a course that is built on a very simple idea. Crime and justice, they don't happen in isolation. They're shaped by a multitude of different things, politics, psychology, social structures, economic change. We're talking about history here, global interconnectedness. So, I mean, rather than looking at crime through one single lens, which we often tend to do in our undergraduate degrees, this MSc tries to blend together the social science disciplines across the board to help you guys make some sense of some of the most pressing issues that we're dealing with in our world right now. So, Why study globalization and crime? I mean, one of the key questions that we're dealing with really is the fact that the world is ever changing. I mean, globalization is reshaping how we know the world. It's reshaping crime, justice, social inequality. We're living in a period now where local issues are increasingly connected to global forces, right? So, I mean, what we're seeing here is migration, digital technology, labour exploitation. So we're seeing things like terrorism, cybercrime, environmental crime. The list can go on and on. So what we're really seeing here is that, you know, shifting political tensions don't just stay within their own national borders. And what that really means for us is that if we want to try to understand crime properly, we have to understand the global systems that this all sits within. So the course was designed with this idea in mind, in order to give students a chance to think critically about how globalisation, technology, social change affects crime and justice at local, national and international levels. So in terms of this MSc programme, what makes it distinctive is the interdisciplinary nature and applied focus. So students you're not going to be boxed into a single disciplinary perspective within this Masters. You're going to engage with things like criminology, sociology, politics, psychology and research methods in a way that will reflect how the real world problems actually work. Another strength of this programme is it's not just theoretical either. It's been designed to help you guys to apply academic knowledge to contemporary social issues. So we include things like an applied research project, which is linked to a placement, and also community organisations. And also we have the dissertation module that many of my colleagues have spoke about within their own programmes as well, to help you guys to develop an independent, substantial piece of research on something that matters to you, and which helps you to align with your interests. So there's a lot going on within this course, but essentially for people who want academic depth, but also want to see how research can actually inform practice and policy and change within this sphere, that's really what makes this programme unique for those of you that have those interests. So our programme basically aims to do 5 important things, I would say. The first is to help you guys to explore the relationship between globalisation, crime, justice and equality, etc. Basically in a genuinely sort of critical and applied way. Secondly, we are looking to develop advanced research skills so that you can investigate some of these complex issues systematically. We're also trying to prepare you for a broad range of future pathways, so whether that be in further academic research, policy work, justice-related professions. There's a lot of various different roles associated with a degree in this field, and also we're looking to help you guys to try to build a good level of knowledge and understanding around a number of different changes that are being brought in because of, you know, technological advancements, AI and various other issues as well. In terms of what you will study within this course, as I said, it's really bringing in a broad range of perspectives. So our modules essentially within the full-time route include research methods and techniques, politics of the developing world and forensic and criminal psychology in first semester, which will then be followed up in second semester with transnational crime, globalisation, work and society and an applied research project. And then the Masters will be finalised with a dissertation project at the end. There's also flexible part-time routes where you can study the course over a number of years, and where you can select different modules within that as well. So the flexibility obviously matters quite a bit for us, because we know that many of our students are balancing this study with, you know, work and family commitments. So the programme's been built to give you that opportunity to progress in a way that's realistic for you, and you can, as many of my colleagues have said, you can progress from a PG Cert onto a PG Dip and then finally onto the Masters, should that be your aim. So I highlighted a few of our modules just there, and again I just wanted to give you a very, very brief insight into some of the things that you would be studying with us. So within the forensic and criminal psychology module, for example, we're looking to study, you know, criminal behaviour and victimisation from a psychological perspective. We'll study a number of different topics, including things like human trafficking, genocide, terrorism, psychological warfare. Politics of the developing world takes you through, you know, political issues affecting the global south in particular, including things like poverty, inequality, inequality, migration, organised crime, drugs trades. We also move on to transnational crime, which explores, you know, how crime is evolving and changing via things like cybercrime and green criminology. And we have globalisation work in society, which looks at things like employment, labour markets, precarious work, and how, you know, changing forms of work intersect with exploitation, illicit economies, and the criminalisation of security as well. I mentioned very briefly as well that we also have our applied research project and our dissertation modules. And again, I won't go into this in any major detail, but it is just to highlight that we do very much explore things from an applied perspective. It's all fine and well doing things, you know, in theory, but in practice, things are very, very different. And within our applied research project and dissertation, we do give you opportunities to engage with local and, you know, kind of national kind of placement opportunities. In particular, we also run a conference each year with Police Scotland as well, to give you an opportunity to network with those who are in the field. Very quickly, courses taught very similar to a lot of the colleagues, a lot of my colleagues' courses, so online blended learning. So we basically we teach most of our content online. However, students are also invited to take part in weekly live sessions and discussions as well. So we often have a weekly class that is available for students to log in and actually engage with the lecturer, ask some questions, engage with each other. But we also have discussion boards, structured independent learning, and, you know, it's essentially a course that you can be as engaged with us as you want to be, or equally as independent as you want to be as well, whatever works best for you. You will have your personal academic tutor, you'll have access to your module leaders, your learning resources. You of course have your library and digital support as well, and will be part of the wider UHI student community. So as I said, you are as much of a part of the degree as you essentially want to be, and you can experience it in whatever way works best for you. So in terms of who this course would be for, the Masters is suitable for a wide range of students. It'll essentially appeal to those who are coming from social science backgrounds in particular. However, those with professional interests in things like justice and policy, education, support work, for example, may also be interested in this as well. What really matters most is things like your interest in this, your critical thinking, and your willingness to engage with these complex issues, not necessarily your background. We're more than happy to have people from any perspective, any background, coming in and bringing their perspective to the table. But the degree offers a lot of options for your routes as well. So, you know, further postgraduate study is always an option within PhD, but we also have students who have graduated and moved on to roles within policy and research. We've also got people who have moved on to roles within the criminal justice and public sector, as well as the third sector and advocacy work. So many options, lots of different things on the table. So yeah, I will call it quits there. Just to sum it up, the Masters is essentially offering an interdisciplinary, critical, applied way of studying essentially the biggest issues that we're facing in society today. So it's something that can be, you know, academically challenging and professionally quite relevant, and extraordinarily flexible for those of you who are coming from various different backgrounds and circumstances. So if you are interested, lots of information available online. Obviously, my contact details have been highlighted in the chat as well. So I shall leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire. That's great. No, a very good point actually there about the qualifications element. Yes, most of our programs that you hear about tonight are very open in terms of the background you can have and still come into a Masters of Laws. I think I'm probably right in saying that almost all of them have, you know, you don't have to have a specialism in that subject area to go into that degree. So yes, we are very open in that sense. I'm just going to speak very briefly about a couple of programs that aren't represented by colleagues here tonight, if I can get this thing to work, and then I will talk to you about just a couple of other things. Sorry. So just two other programs that we have available within the humanities. Firstly, there's the MSc in Social Research. So this explores a wide range of contemporary topics through specialist modules designed to deepen students' knowledge and technical skills. It provides the opportunity to tailor learning through one of two possible pathways, so the social research pathway, but also the MSc Social Research with advanced quantitative methods. The social research program is also approved by the Economic and Social Research Council, and so it can be followed as part of funded studentship through the Scottish Graduate School for Social Sciences and thus lead into a funded PhD thereafter. It provides flexible learning, as most of our programs do, and also has an ongoing seminar series which students can attend to hear the latest research from colleagues within the programs, but also colleagues from other universities talking about the research in these areas. So in terms of content, we have the 4 core modules for the program. So engaged research, concepts and theories, ethics and data science, research methods and techniques, and then the dissertation at the end if you take it through to the full MSc, and then a range of modules, some of which pull stuff through from what Claire was just talking about there, but also other elements in related subjects. And the other program, just to mention briefly, is our MLit in Theology, Worldview and Culture. So primarily for those moving through from having studied religious studies or theological studies or similar, but again, with a very broad kind of picture on things as well, which means that it doesn't, you don't have to have that specialism to come into the program in the first place. So this program considers contemporary issues with a Christian worldview, so from ecological degradation to failures in economic models, colonial history, etc. And through that, then it engages with a number of other disciplines, including things like contemporary art, science, or even business practice. It is fundamentally interdisciplinary in nature, so considering things as disparate as biblical theology, historical theology, philosophical perspectives and ethics, but it's also very practical in outlook, so trying to link theology to practice and culture, thinking of things, as I said, through a Christian lens in relation to ecological virtue, ethics, political theology, etc. As I said, it is aimed primarily at theology graduates, but certainly not exclusively because of that overlap it has and that insight it gives into other areas. And it's also very much set up to cater for part-time study. So there are online evening seminars, so it very much based around those who are potentially in work, but you can study that from everywhere. But they also do have residentials twice a year to bring students together face-to-face and have some physical interaction. Content-wise, this program is all core modules, and so it takes you through, split into 2 sections. So firstly, the foundations modules, and then the towards praxis modules. So looking at that theology and worldview, that kind of foundational module, introducing you to things, looking at the doctrine of creation and culture and society, but also then looking at the polis, the land, and the people of God, and then the dissertation at the end of it. Also, just to note, there are other options if you're in, again, related areas, which are not within the humanities and social science area, but I will just nod to them. So, for example, on the archaeology side, we have an MA in contemporary art and archaeology. So an interesting collaboration between our colleagues in art and archaeology. Stephen already referred to the tourism award. There's the MSc in psychology conversions, so developing further that element of the social sciences. But we also have a group of programs around things like the extreme weather MSc and the net zero communities, but also around the theme of sustainability. So those of you in geography or sustainable development as a background perhaps might be attracted into programs like those two, or indeed the sustainability scheme, which includes degrees on sustainability and rural regeneration, sustainable energy solutions, and sustainable mountain development. So yes, ultimately we have lots of options for you. So thank you to my academic colleagues for those presentations. Hopefully they've given you all some food for thought in terms of the range of options and opportunities we offer in relation to our different master's programs. And again, as already indicated, if anyone has any queries, please just stick them in the chat. But I have also, as indicated earlier, put in the chat the email contacts of all the program leads for the programs that have been discussed tonight, and indeed the couple of extra ones. So if you have specific questions about particular programs, the content of such, I would strongly encourage you to contact those individuals directly to ask any questions you have, because they'll be able to give you the detail on things, because it is their stuff. So just turning briefly, just for a couple of minutes to other things. So I wanted to touch upon funding, because I'm sure that's something that's of relevance certainly to all of you. So starting with fees and funding, I'm going to take a mostly Scottish-based student approach, but there will be some further points in a minute for those who aren't. But postgraduate taught fees for this year, we're still to release the ones for next year. So a 20 credit module, one module costs £610. So a postgraduate certificate, which is made up of 3 modules, is 1,830. The postgraduate diploma then, which is 6 modules, is 3,660, and the full master's degree, which is 6 modules plus the dissertation, which is itself worth 3 modules, is £5,490 all in. So if you are a Scottish domicile student, those are the fees for you. Fees for those of you who are assessed as RUK, so rest of the UK, or indeed international students, will be higher. But I will note that for the bulk of the programs which are online, the fee for online study is a bit lower than it would be otherwise if you were studying in person. So if you came to UHI to study in person. But in terms of for Scottish domicile students, and if you're eligible to apply for such, the Student Awards Agency for Scotland, SAS, provides funding support for master's students for completion of a postgraduate diploma or a full master's programme. Unlike undergraduate study, this is in the form of a support loan. So obviously you'll get the money to help pay for the cost of the degree, but it does need to be paid back once you reach a particular earning threshold. Students can apply for up to £7,000 to cover their fees for a full-time course over 1 or 2 years. And eligible full-time students can also apply for a postgraduate living cost loan of up to £6,900 to support them during their studies. Disabled students and those with additional learning needs may also be eligible to apply for a disabled students allowance. Part-time students are also able to apply for fee loan support to support their studies and to cover the costs of the degree in terms of fees. And part-time study should take no longer than twice the length of a full-time equivalent. Part-time students, though, are not able to apply for the additional support material that the living cost loan that full-time students have access to. Application for funding and indeed all details about funding opportunities for Scottish domicile students, again, I'll stress that, is available online through the SAS website, so that is absolutely worth exploring. For non-Scottish domicile students, funding opportunities are dependent on support that's available from regional or national governments. So, for example, students from the rest of the UK may well have access to funding provided by the Welsh Assembly, the Northern Ireland Assembly, or indeed through the UK government if you're an English-based student. International students may also have access to funds, but they will have to investigate possible routes of support from their own governments, either at state level or at national level. And then the UHI funding web pages also have some details of additional support that can potentially be applied for through other bodies, but that is obviously competitive, restricted, and more difficult to get. So the kind of national funding route is probably the best way to go if that's available to you. And in terms of how to apply, I suppose what I would suggest to you is to think about your choices. We have thrown a lot at you tonight. We appreciate that. It was only ever intended to give you an introduction to things and to give you an idea of what it is that we do, and as I said, give you food for thought. So please do access the UHI web pages. The course pages, there's a course page for each of the degrees that we've talked about tonight, so you can get a bit more detail about things there. Investigate the different courses we have available. Investigate different universities and different locations as much as you can. See what's out there. See what suits your particular situation and what it is you want to do, where you want to go. All of that needs to come into your consideration. But please do, as we've indicated, follow up with us, and particularly follow up with specific programme leaders if you do have further questions. There are no silly questions, so please do just get in touch and we'll be more than happy to answer any queries you have. And if you do want to apply, then if you go to the course webpage for your chosen master's programme on the UHI website. If you scroll to the bottom of the page and select when you wish to start and whether you wish to study full-time or part-time, this will start you on the path to the online application pathway.